to Mr. Abe Piasek and his story of triumph over evil during World War II. Mr. Piasek will be sharing the remarkable story of his life in Poland prior to and during the Nazi occupation, his family, the life that he led during his internment, and the persecution he endured. We are so honored to have him with us this morning. Please give a round of applause, and it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Abe
Piasek. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. That's a nice voice. I can like it. Anybody good in arithmetic over here? I will just give you an example. When the war broke out, I was 11 years old. I was born in 1928. How old am I? One of them, 85. And I'm going on 86 now. Yeah, when the war broke out, I was 11. And you over here are 12 and 13, I assume. So that is my story in my life from 1939 until today. Well, I'm going to start off. Can anybody hear me good? Yeah. Good. If you have any questions later on after I finish speaking, I'd be glad to answer any question. Whatever, if I can answer it, I'd be glad to. The first thing in October 8 of 1939, the German invaded Poland, and they came to my town. My town was a small town. It was between Warsaw and Radom. Now, that was the main road towards Warsaw. If you start reading about Warsaw, that Warsaw was destroyed completely by 1945. When they came into my town, they parked in the front of my house. Was a big place where they could bivouac and pull their tents, and they were very, very good because they were the Wehrmacht. Now you have to distinguish between the Wehrmacht and the SS. The Wehrmacht had nothing to do with the SS. They were there for about 3, 4, maybe 6 months the most. As a matter of fact, some of the officers were staying in my house. They were sleeping on the floor on straw with no mattresses. Nobody had a mattress as far as I know. And they brought us food that were very, very good. Now, one day, they just happened to disappear. They were going towards Warsaw. And in a couple days, the SS came in and made rules that all the Jewish people, because it was half Jewish and half Polish people in that town, we got along fairly good. And they say we cannot go to a certain place because we were marked. They marked it that we should not go out. Well, as an 11-year-old kid and a friend of mine, you were curious why we could not go out. So we decided to walk out from that neighborhood, and we got into a different neighborhood. And all of a sudden, Now, realize that you were 11 years old. We heard somebody was marching, and you know when the Germans have boots, they have what do they call it? Like a horse has a horseshoe. They have cleats on the foot, so you can hear them marching, coming towards us. As closer they came to me with my friend, and they asked me, "What are you doing here?" And of course in German, and I didn't understand a little bit too much, but German and Yiddish, are you familiar with the Jewish language? Not Hebrew, but it's a different language. So I understood what they were saying, and we started to walk away. So this German, this SS, took out the pistol and they shot my friend instantly in front of me. The minute I saw that, I escaped. I was running so fast, and they were chasing me, but I was hiding and they couldn't find me. I was lucky then, and I was told by my father not to go out anymore, because something like this could happen again, and you're not going to come back. Well, anyway, this went on for about 6 months to 9 months at least. Now we come into 1940. 1940, I was 12 years old, like you are now. So picture yourself, you in the house, and my uncle became a capo. You know what? Anybody knows what a capo is? He was responsible. He was a policeman guarding the Jewish people so they shouldn't go out from the house to someplace else. So one day, my uncle came into the house. As a matter of fact, he gave me the first haircut when I was 6, 7 years old. I remember that. And he came into the house. He whispered something to my father. I had no idea what he said, but I found out after I was growing up, 14, 15, 16, what he probably said to him. So the next couple days, I see my father disappeared. At that time, my mother wasn't dead. She was sick. She had probably, she was crying. Her stomach was bothering her. She was in her early 20s, and my father was in the high 20s. And that was a fixed marriage. That wasn't love at first sight, but that was a fixed marriage. Well, anyway, in a couple days, my father disappeared. My uncle came to the house, and he told me I have to go. I said, "Where are we going?" He said, "He doesn't really know, but you have to go on the truck." So that's the first time I went on the truck on the right. This was the only truck in the town, and they were about 50, 60, sometimes 80 people on a truck. So my uncle and my 2 aunts, they used to live in Warsaw. They came to live with us during the beginning of the war because they escaped Warsaw. Because Warsaw was bombing. The German almost, actually the German destroyed it. So anyway, they took my uncle too, and his wife and a sister of hers decided to volunteer to go with my uncle. Now my uncle had a sister also, so she volunteered to go. Now you have to understand, I have to go forward now, and a couple of friends of mine, I have to tell you now is that at the end, that whoever went on that truck with me survived the war. Now that was a miracle. If you call it a miracle or you call it, I don't know, whatever you call it, but they survived the war. We were liberated in 1945. Well, anyway, so they took us. Must have been about 200-300 people from my town, and they put us in a fireplace house. They took out the fire engine, and we were there for 2 nights, laying on the concrete with no facilities, no bathrooms, no water. And people were starving, they were crying, because it was quite a few young people, not younger than me, was 12 and up. The 10, 11 they took away, and I never saw them again. And so I have no idea what happened to them. But this story is my personal, so I cannot tell you about somebody else, because each one survivor has his own unique how he survived. Well, anyway, after a couple days we were there, they came in, they say, we're going to get up and march. Now you can imagine you there 2 days and laying on the concrete wall. I don't have to go into details, so you can visualize it yourself, what happens if you have no bathrooms to go in a situation like this. That's as far as I'm going to tell you. You can imagine what happened. Well, anyway, we were marching, and we came to a camp in Rutherford. Now, if you look at the map, from my town to Rutherford must be about 15, 16 to 20 kilometers. It's about 14, 15 miles from my town. And they put us in a barrack, and with 4 bunks on top, 4 bunks, one at the bottom, one at the top, no covers, no mattresses. We had to sleep on the wood from the bunks. Finally, in a couple of days, they brought in straw. So we were laying on the straw. We had no blankets, so we had to curl up to each other so to keep warm. And that was in the winter. There was no fireplace, nothing at all, and there was one bulb of electricity in the whole barracks, and the barracks was about 200 to 400 people on a bunk, and was no facility either, and anybody had to go into the bathroom, had to go outside, and there was no no toilet paper, let me put it this way, blank. So you can imagine what happened. And they separate the men from the women. And I was with my uncle. Now, as we were lining up in the morning, and the commandant says we had something to eat. And we said we didn't eat anything. He said, you're going to have a nice breakfast in German. I think we were very happy to hear him say it. What was the breakfast? It was a cup of black coffee, not even coffee, they call it, another name was black. It wasn't coffee, you know, chicory. Yeah, anybody familiar with what chicory is? Chicory is a substitute for coffee. So we got a cup of black coffee with a slice of bread. That was for breakfast. And he told us he was going to have a good breakfast. And we believed him, but that's another lie. Well, anyway, we were there, and then the next day, we were marching to a factory in Radom. Now, I was assigned to a place where they made pistols. Now, if anybody is familiar, our pistol, where the magazine goes into the pistol, that was my job to make them 2 grooves in that pistol. If your parents have a pistol, let them show you, we'll make sure there's no ammo in it. When they take out the magazine, you'll see the 2 grooves on each side of the pistol. So that was for my job. If I made any mistake, I got hit. I got hit only once, as I was there for about a year and a half to 2 years. Meanwhile, we were very, very hungry. And a lot of people got hurt. They were beating. We couldn't go out. And if you have to go to the bathroom, you have to go. Sneak outside. If you caught, you're finished. You would not, we'd not come back, and a lot of my friends didn't come back. Now, as we were lining up, I probably was the shortest kid, about 12 years old. So I had 2 good friends, and we were lined up, and they were coming to inspect us, and the shortest kid who was in that group was taken out, and we never saw him again. As the Gestapos, the SS, came towards me, and my friend, or 2 brothers actually, was standing, and I was standing in the middle. And they said to me, "Hey, they come in and you short, I think we should help you." I said, "What are you going to do?" They said, "We're going to pick you up so you'll be as high as we are." Well, them 2 brothers really picked me up, and they helped me survive that inspection. But the inspection came at least once a month, and they took out the weaklings, and I just happened to be lucky because my uncle worked for the SS. He was a tailor, so he sneaked in a piece of bread for me, and I was working in the factory, so I met this Polish gentleman who was in charge of that the factory where I was working, and he said, "You must be hungry." I said, "Sure am." So he said to me, "I cannot give you anything because otherwise they take me out and I'll disappear." Of course, that was Polish. I used to speak good Polish. And he said to me, "I'm going to bring you some bread." It was not a sandwich, it was a piece of bread and a piece of salami. We had no sandwiches like we have today over here. And he said, "I'm going to put it in a place, and I'll show you where it is. So you have to go there in the morning and pick it up." He brought me at least two pieces of bread and salami a week, at least. And I really survived, and I tried to find him after the war, and no vain, I could not. I really didn't know his name. He never told me his name, so I couldn't find him. Well, anyway, I was working over there for about from 1940 to 1942. Now, if you read, and if you're going to come to World War II, you know that the German invaded the Soviet Union. Anybody came to that point yet? Are you familiar with it? No. Oh, well, I see a few people. Good, very good. So the German advanced almost to Moscow. And they almost discovered, they devastated Stalingrad. Now, I think the American helped the Soviet Union push the Germans away. Now, as they were pushing away, we heard thunder and lightning, but not really, it was with the heavy artillery. And there was a rumor going on in the camp that one of them days we're going to move out. We had no idea where we're going to go, where we're supposed to go. Nobody knew about it. And one evening, they came in, the elderly people found out that we're going to leave that night and we're going to march. Now, you can imagine, and it was cold at night, and we were marching to, I had no idea where, until a couple days later, I found out where we were going. Now, they took us through a farm, and they put us in a barn, and where the cows were there. And as a kid, at night we were all laying on hay. It must have been about 100 to 150 in the stall and where the cows were. And I was smelling manure. And I was curious what the smell was. So it was a fence between the hay and the cows. So I jumped over. At night I could see, my eyes were better then than now. And I was standing there and sitting down. It was warm between the cows. And as I was getting light, the barn door opened up. When the barn door opened up, a young lady, she must have been about 12, 13, same age as me, and she said in Polish, "What are you doing over here?" Because they had no idea that the people who were marching, that they were sleeping in her barn. But before we came to that barn, if anybody dropped out on that march, they were shot instantly, and they were laying on the grass, and nobody took care of them, nobody buried them. So we lost quite a few people on that march. So anyway, she said, wait a minute, I'll be right back. Now, I had no idea what she meant by coming right back. In about 5 minutes, she came back with a hot chocolate. That's the first time in my life I had a hot chocolate. And she said she's going to tell her parents what happened, and I told her that the people are staying here overnight. Now, I gotta admit, after the war, I tried to find her, and I could not find her. I didn't even remember in which city it was. I feel bad, and I still imagine, I'm visualizing at least once or twice a week what happened to me in that particular time. Well, and when it gets light in the morning, we were marching towards a train. I never saw a train in my life, and they told us to get in the train. You can imagine, you ever seen a train? It looks like a cattle train with one a little tiny window on each side. Anybody saw that train, I think they had one in North Carolina, a cattle car. Anybody saw it? Oh, you go on the internet, and you probably see it. I don't know where in North Carolina it is, but I think it's someplace. I have no idea. So we went on the train. They locked the cars. Standing up only, must have been between 100 and 150 people on a car, only men. The women were on another car, and we were standing up like sardines. Now we were going on the train probably about an hour or 2 hours. I really don't know how long, but I imagine that's where it was. And we stopped. And they say, everybody out of the train. And we had to line up. Can anybody hear me in the back over there? Can you hear me? Yeah? Oh, good. We had to line up. And they start taking off the smaller people what we lined up. Now, you remember, I told you them two guys helped me out and picked me up on my arms. They did the same thing, and I was saved. And as we were marching in, we saw a sign, Arbeit macht das Leben frei. In other words, if you work, you'll be free. And on the say, I said, where are we? And the elderly people said, you're in Auschwitz. And that was Auschwitz in Polish, and Auschwitz in German. So, as we were marching through the gate, we smelled something. We smelled, looks like bacon. If you ever, anybody cook baking in the house, it's a nice smell, right? All of you. It's a nice smell, but I have to tell you. And we said to each other, oh wow, we have good food over here. But I found out that wasn't bacon, that was burning of the corpse. Okay, I found out, and they told me, because I had no idea as a kid, what that means. So they assigned from my town, they assigned me to clean up as the people were going in to the chamber for a shower. They told me to go in for a shower, and they never came out. They were gassed. And they were burning the bodies. And we had no idea, I had no idea personally, until the elderly people told me what's really going on here. Well, we couldn't say nothing. We couldn't escape. And I was working there for about, I would say about a week. And that's why I have no tattoo on my arm, because we were moving around too fast from one place to another. And that smell from the bodies was terrible. A lot of people died. I think you're going to see, if you go into the Holocaust Memorial in Washington, D.C., you're going to see hair, you're going to see shoes, you're going to see the uniform. My shoes probably are in that place, where I have no idea, because after I was liberated, they took we gave everything away, and I had no idea what to do with it. Later on, I find out in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, where they made the Holocaust Museum, they put everything there together. My stuff, probably over there, maybe yes, maybe no. I really don't know. But if you ever go there to Washington, and you put my name in it, and so you can see my, I was interviewed by Steven Spielberg, so you can see my documentation over there on the, I don't know how it works because I don't want to go there, so I have no idea how to go on the internet. I'm probably going to see it on the internet too. Well, anyway, as we were going in Auschwitz, we had a barracks. About 4 people were sleeping one on top of each other. They were also sleeping on straws, and some bunks didn't have any straws. They were sleeping on regular wood. Now, it was cold in the winter, so we had to cuddle up to each other. We were sleeping actually like sardines. So if you turn around, the other person had to turn around, otherwise you were in a bad position to lay down. And we were working for about 12 to 14 to 16, 18 hours a day, and that day, till all of a sudden they said we're gonna move out again. Now, in a few days, we assembled only my group. I don't know why. I never found out why. But my group, well, they picked me up in my town. We had to also line up. So they took all the strong people and they put all the weak kids on the side. And of course, two brothers were helping me out. They picked me up in the air. So I looked pretty good then. I was pretty strong, but I lost a lot of weight. And they took us on the train. I would call them 2 guys my angels. If I believe in angels, well, if anybody believe them. If they tell you something that they saw an angel, but those are my 2 angels. Well, anyway, we were going on the train, and the American and the British were bombing the train. And finally, we hit destination. The name is Essenthal. And Essenthal, they were an airfield, and I had to carry, when the Americans were bombing, and we had to make sure that the airfield is clean for the German Luftwaffe at the airport for them to take off. So we had to fix the runways on the airport. Now, in order to do that, they were boxes of cement was lined up on the train. So each person has to take 2 bags of cement on their shoulder. Now, a bag was 50 pounds. Now, picture yourself picking up 50 pounds on each shoulder to walk down a ramp. And if you fall down that ramp, you finished. And they shot him right over there. The cement got mixed. It was terrible. If it was raining, it was slippery as anything. A couple times, of course, it was raining. People was laying there. We had to go by, and we had to carry. I don't know how I carried 250 pounds, but I did. Today I can even pick up 25 pounds. So anyway, I was walking over there for about 2 to 3 months on the airfield, and the work was hard. The food was unbelievable, and a lot of people died. But then two brothers were with me when they came with me. They were all the time besides me. So I was their kid brother. And as a matter of fact, they died only about 4.5 years ago. They used to live in Kansas City, Kansas. So we were in touch after the war. And those two guys saved me. Well, anyway, as we were walking there, they said after a few months, the airport was devastated, so we had to move. We moved to another place. We were going there for about 3-4 days on a train. We were going back and forth because they were bombing, and they didn't stop until we get to the destination. They went to Essenthal. And one time was Weihinge, the other time was Essenthal. Now, in Essenthal, I had to work on the railroad tracks. Now, my particular job was to make sure that the tracks was safe for the train to go by. I had to have a special hammer, and any of you went to crossing a railroad track, they have ties. You know what ties on the railroad? Anybody know what the tie is? Yes, that's the logs, wooden logs. Or today I think they have cement logs, but at that time they had wooden logs. So we had to put stones underneath so the tracks wouldn't wobble. And I was working over there on the railroad, and we saw a fence. We could not go in on the other side of the fence. The only thing came out from that other side of the fence is cars and trains, and then they closed the gate, and that was it. And we had to stop as the trains were coming out from there. And after that, we went back to work. Now, at that time, no soldiers were guarding us. It's only one guy who was guarding us. He was a civilian, and we worked with him for quite a long time. We got to know him good. So we said to him we were hungry, and he said, well, I cannot feed you because they're watching us from a distance. If they see me giving you bread, my family and I will disappear. He said, but, now this was all in German. Now, he brought some food, potatoes, some bread, some salami, and he put it about a quarter of a mile from we were. So we had the freedom to go there and pick up the food because we had to hide it. So I never went to pick it up, but my friend picked it up, and we each one had a piece of bread and a piece of salami, whatever he could bring. Now, he was very, very nice, and then all this, we were there for a long time. A lot of people died, so when we came back to the barracks, we saw corpse laying on the floor. Now, all of a sudden, people got sick of the typhus. Now, if they had the typhus in the barracks, the bodies would lay there on the ground, in the barracks, on the cement, And after a few days, the corpse smelled terrible. I don't wish anybody to see a situation like that, and I hope it'll never happen. After those people, maybe about a half of them died, and we were all infested with lice. Now, a matter of fact, I found out about 3-4 months ago, my great-grandson got infected from lice from his kindergarten class. So I said, oh my God, that hit a nerve, and it hits me. So I told my granddaughter what to do. At that time, was nothing you can do. You have to live with it, and the same clothes you couldn't wash. As a matter of fact, I wore my pants from 1940 till they took me away, and my shirt for around 4.5 years. So you can imagine, without washing, how terrible I smelled, because everybody smelled the same way, so you didn't know if it was good or bad. So anyway, at that time, it was very, very disturbing, because I never seen so many people die at one time. Now, we worked over there for quite a few months, and of course I cannot go to real details, otherwise you wouldn't, I don't want to gross you out, because I'm just telling you what happened in the most civilized way I can. So at that time, we were marching, and we came back to the same place, and we were working on that railroad. Now, then I have to tell you what happened after, because I cannot go into detail, it will probably gross you out. But from that railroad, I was working about 6-7 years ago. I used to live in Florida. I got a call from a German person, and he said he just came to live in that town, and some people told him that used to be a concentration camp over there, and he's writing a book. Now, I picked up the phone and called him. I said, how did you get my name? He said, well, it was on the bulletin board over there, and he found my name, and he wants to know if I worked on the other side of that fence, because there was no sign over there that it was a camp in that particular place. So I called him. He said he's writing a book, and he's going to send me a book. He actually sent me that book. It's in German. Now I have to tell you what happened with that book before I go any further, so you get an idea. I was invited to have the last Christmas dinner with a neighbor of mine. Now, that neighbor, you don't forget, I'm going back 60 years. That neighbor happened to be a German lady. She was born in 1940. And I asked her a question if she can interpret from German to English. It's very difficult to interpret. You have to read a whole sentence and make your own decision how the sentence will go in English. She said she'll be willing to do. So I gave her the book. So I sat down and talked with her. I don't think I told anybody except I just told the officer over there, where is he, what really happened. And she was born in 1940, believe it. That's what she told me, and I believe it. That when she was 4 years old, she was sitting on Hitler's lap. Now, that was mind-boggling. At 4 years old, she remembers that. And her father was an anti-Nazi, and they burned the house down, so that's another story to go all together. Well, anyway, going back where I was, we went on the train again. I found out later on we were going to Dachau. Does anybody know where Dachau is or what Dachau was? Anybody? Nobody? You know? You know it? I can't hear. I can hear you.
I know it was a concentration camp, I don't know where it was though.
Yeah, that was in Germany. That was in Germany. Dachau was in Germany. Now, if you go in to Dachau, my eyes are tearing. You know. I'm not crying. It's no use. I don't want to cry now anyway. If anybody went into Dachau, they never came out. A few people survived Dachau. Now, I had no idea what Dachau is, and they were really bombing the tracks and they're bombing the train. Now, picture yourself, you're sitting on a car on the highway, and somebody throws a bomb on one side of the car, and they throw a bomb on the other side of the car. He was standing in a cattle car, so at least I got a concussion. Now, if somebody, I got a concussion and I went to heaven. Now, if anybody tells you that they were dreaming in Technicolor, believe it. That's what happened to me. I went to heaven and I looking for my parents, and was millions and millions and millions of people marching, and I could not see the people I knew or my parents, anybody. Then I heard a voice now, and he said, "Go back. I don't need you here." Now, if you read the Bible about Moses, what God told him, he never